Okay, Assalamu alaikum students. So let's get started with IGCSE Physics, February March 2024, paper 4, variant 2. This is a 1 hour 15 minutes ka paper. Let's start with that. Figure 1.1 is a speed time graph for the first 5 minutes of a bus journey. ठीक है, bus journey के first 5 minutes का speed time graph given है. Whenever you see a speed time graph, what are the two key points that you must remember? Whether they get used or not, that's a different matter. But जब भी आप स्पीड टाइम ग्राफ देखोगे देर आर टू की पॉइंट्स दैट यू मस्ट रिमेंबर द ग्रेडियंट ऑफ speed time graph is equals to acceleration and the area under speed time graph is equals to what? Area under speed time graph is equals to your distance. Perfect. Now let's look at the question. Describe the motion between time t is equals to 0.9 minutes till time t is equals to 2.9 minutes. बेटा 0.9 से 2.9 मिनट्स के दरमियान आपका मोशन किस तरह हो रहा है. इफ यू रियलाइज दिस इज योर 0.9 मिनट्स, व्हाट इज योर 2.9 मिनट्स, ये वाली चीज somewhere here. So basically from this point till this point. Can you realize from 0.9 minutes till 2.9 minutes you have a constant speed? Yes, you can write this. 0.9 say 2.9 तक you have a constant speed. Perfect. What is your motion from time t is equal to 2.9 minutes till 3.5 minutes? अच्छा जी, 2.9 minutes से 3.5 minutes, that is somewhere here. So let me highlight it as well. This region. 2.9 say 3.5 minutes, this region. What is happening to the motion in this region? Can you realize beta आपकी velocity decrease हो रही है and the velocity is decreasing at a constant rate? That means constant deceleration हो रही है. That means you have constant deceleration. You can write it here. From time t is equal to 2.9 till 3.5 minutes, you have constant deceleration. Simple. Now, what happens from time t is equal to 3.5 till 4.5 minutes? अच्छा जी, 3.5 से 4.5 minutes क्या हो रहा है? Can you realize you have a velocity of 0 from 3.5 to 4.5? That means your object is at a rest from 3.5 minutes till 4.5 minutes. At rest कह लो, stationary कह लो, whatever you'll feel like saying here, you can do that. आगे बढ़ते हैं. Another bus travels at a speed of 8.9 meters per second. The brakes apply a constant force and the bus stops in a distance of 23 meter. ठीक है, ये speed है आपकी. This is your distance. The bus has a mass of this. Okay, this is the mass of the bus. Calculate the kinetic energy of the bus before the brakes are applied. अच्छा जी, आपने kinetic energy of the bus निकालनी है. How will you do that? Kinetic energy is equals to 1 upon 2 mv square. बेटा मास क्या है बस का? 18,000. What is your velocity of the bus? 8.9 square. Can you calculate the kinetic energy of the bus? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. 7.1 into 10 raised to the power of 5 joules is your kinetic energy. Simple as that. Let's further move ahead. Now you have to determine the force applied to stop the bus. अच्छा जी, आपने force निकालनी है to stop the bus. How will you do that? Kinetic energy is equals to your work done. Kinetic energy क्या आ रही थी? 7.1 10 raised to the power of 5. Work done का formula क्या है? Force into the distance traveled. बेटा what is the distance that you have traveled? 23 meters. सही है, distance की जगह 23 रख दो. 7.1 10 is the power of 5 is equals to f into 23. Can you calculate the force? 7.1 10 is the power of 5 divided by 23 is equals to your force f. Can you calculate this answer? 7.1 into 10 is the power of 5 divided by 23. This comes out to be what? Force इसके equal आ जाएगी 3100 Newton is your force. नथिंग कॉम्प्लिकेटेड हेयर, आगे बढ़ते हैं बेटा. डिफाइन इम्पल्स. व्हाट इज इम्पल्स? प्रोडक्ट ऑफ force and the time for which the force is applied, and the time for which force is applied. Product of force and the time for which the force is applied is your impulse. Perfect. आगे बढ़ते हैं. फिगर 2.1 shows a rocket and its exhaust gases. अच्छा जी, एक रॉकेट है, उसकी exhaust gases हैं यहाँ पे. Perfect. The exhaust gases are emitted from the rocket with a velocity of this and at a rate of 2800 kg per second. Perfect. Show that the force exerted on the rocket by the exhaust gases is this. अच्छा जी, आपने force निकालनी है. How will you do that? Beta, do you remember the resultant force is equals to the change in momentum over change in time? How can you represent change in momentum? Mass into change in velocity divided by time. Can you realize the mass per unit time? बेटा mass divided by time की वैल्यू तो आपको ऑलरेडी गिवन है, 2800. Can you replace 2800 in place of this? Yep, 2800. What is your change in velocity? 1400. Multiply कर दो. What does your force comes out to be? 3900 kilo Newton. Simple as that. Nothing complicated here. कुछ भी हमने complicated यहाँ पे नहीं किया. अब आगे बढ़ते हैं बेटा. Now, calculate the maximum mass that this force can uplift from the ground. Ignore air resistance. बेटा ये जो रॉकेट है, इसके ऊपर एक अपवर्ड फोर्स लग रही है दैट यू हैव जस्ट कैलकुलेटेड, दैट इज 3900 इंटू 10 raised to the power of 3 Newton और 3900 किलो न्यूटन. दिस कैन अपलिफ्ट an equal amount of weight. बेटा जितनी अपवर्ड फोर्स है उतना ही वेट आप अपलिफ्ट कर सकते हो. So you can say the weight that this rocket can uplift is equals to 3900 10 raised to the power of 3. But you had to calculate the mass. Mass into 9.8. That is the gravitational field strength is equals to 300 10 raised to the power of 3. Can you calculate the mass? Yes, 3900 10 raised to the power of 3 divided by 9.8. बेटा can you calculate the mass now? हाँ जी, mass निकाल सकते हो अब. Your mass की value comes out to be what? 4 into 10 raised to the power of 5 kg easy. This is our value of mass. Simple. आगे बढ़ते हैं बेटा. हम्म. A car has a weight of this. ठीक है भाई, एक कार का वेट जो है वो 13,000 न्यूटन है. The car is supported by 4 tires. The area of each tire is this. Okay. Calculate the pressure on the road due to the weight of the car. How do we calculate pressure? Pressure is equals to force over area. Can you realize this force is on 4 tires? बेटा ये force तो 4 tires पे. How will you calculate the force on one tire? 13,000 divided by 4. 13,000 divided by 4. The force on one tire is 3,250 Newton. 3,250 Newton is your force on one tire. What is the area? 0.016. Can you calculate the pressure बेटा? प्रेशर निकाल लोगे, फोर्स आ गया, एरिया आ गया. कैन यू कैलकुलेट द प्रेशर? प्रेशर इज इक्वल टू 2 इंटू 10 raised to the power of 5 pascals. इजी. आगे बढ़ते हैं. Explain in terms of particles why the pressure in the tire increases when the car travels along the road. बेटा हमने बताना है why the pressure in the tire increases when the car travels along the road. What will you say? As the car travels along the road, friction develops between the road and the tire. This friction causes the temperature of the air inside the tire to increase. This causes the particles of air inside the tire to move faster. As the particles move faster, the collision frequency with the walls of the tire increases. As the collision frequency with the walls of the tire increases, the force on the tire wall increases. As the force on the tire wall increases, the pressure increases. So how will you write your answer? You will say the friction, the friction. Now I will write in a very small handwriting ताकि मैं सारी चीजें यहाँ पे fit कर सकूं. The friction between the tire and the road and the road causes the temperature of the air causes the temperature of the air inside the tire to increase as the temperature of air increases the kinetic energy of air molecules yeah, if it is written particles, write particles. The kinetic energy of air particles increase. Hence, they collide, they collide more frequently, more frequently with the walls of the tire exerting a larger force and leading to a greater pressure, exerting a larger force and leading to a greater pressure. Simple as that. Nothing complicated here. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Let's further move ahead. A gas cylinder, okay, contains helium gas at a pressure of 2 into 10 raised to the power of 6. A volume of 0.026 meter cube of the compressed gas is released from the cylinder into the balloons. Okay. Each balloon contains this amount of gas at atmospheric pressure. The temperature remains constant. If the temperature is remaining constant, which law will we apply? Boyle's law. Calculate the maximum number of balloons that can be filled. First of all, we will apply this. V1 P1 is equals to P2 V2. Beta, what is your initial pressure? 2 into 10 is the power of 6. What is your initial volume? 0.026. What is your final pressure? Your final pressure is 1 into 10 is the power of 5. Let me write it. 1 into 10 is to power. What is your final volume? We don't know. Let's calculate that. So 2 into 10 is the power of 6 multiplied by 0.026. 1 into 10 is the power of 5. What does your final volume comes out to be? Okay. So this is the volume of gas that we have. बेटा ये हमारे पास total volume है of gas. This is the total volume of the gas. Now one balloon can be filled in 0.015 meter cube of gas. 0.52 meter cube of gas में कितने balloons fill होंगे? Cross multiply it. Cross multiply it. 0.52 divided by 0.015 is equals to your number of balloons. Answer 0.015. This comes out to be approximately 34 as your answer. Simple. Let's further move ahead. Define a specific heat capacity. What is the definition of a specific heat capacity? Energy transferred per unit mass for a unit change in temperature. Energy transferred, energy transferred per unit mass, per unit mass for a unit change in for a unit change in temperature. Simple as that, nothing complicated here. आगे बढ़ते हैं. A volume of 0.0024 meter cube of oil is heated in a pan for 7 minutes. The temperature of the oil increases from 20 to 180 degrees centigrade. This is your initial temperature, this is your final temperature, this is your volume, this is your time. Perfect. The density of oil is this. Okay, this is your density of oil. The specific heat capacity of oil is this. Calculate the mass of the oil. How will we do that? Mass is equals to density into volume. बेटा डेंसिटी क्या है 910. वॉल्यूम क्या है 0.0024. कैन यू कैलकुलेट द मास ऑफ द ऑयल 910 into 0.0024. What is the mass of the gas? 2.2 kg. Perfect. Calculate the energy required to increase the temperature of the oil. How will you do that? How will you calculate the energy required to increase the temperature of the oil? MC delta T. What is your M? 2.2. What is your specific heat capacity? 2000. What is your change in temperature? Beta, change in temperature क्या है? Final temperature is 180, initial temperature is 20. So 180 minus 20. What does your value of Q comes out to be? 2.2 into 2000 into 160. Your answer comes out to be what? Energy का आंसर क्या आ रहा है शहजाद दो? हाँ जी. Geniuses, anyone in the chat? The answer for energy comes out to be 7 into 10 raised to the power of 5 joules. Simple. Let's further move ahead. आगे बढ़ते हैं हम. Now, calculate the power required to supply the energy in B part 2. Okay, so we have to calculate the energy. Energy. Oh, sorry, we have to calculate power. My bad. I am tripping. Power is equals to energy over time. Energy beta क्या थी 7 into 10 raised to the power of 5. What was your time? 7 minutes. So 7 into 60 seconds. Can you calculate the power beta? Power निकाल सकते हो? Yes or no? Can you calculate the power, geniuses? Yes or no? The power comes out to be 1700 watts. Simple. Let's further move ahead. Scroll down a bit. Figure 5.1 shows applications of regions of the electromagnetic spectrum. Complete the second column of the table with the region of the electromagnetic spectrum used for each application. Choose from the regions in the list. अच्छा जी ठीक है हमने चूज करना है from this list and we have to write it here. Which type of electromagnetic radiation is used for Bluetooth data connection? बेटा Bluetooth के लिए कौन सी radiations यूज होती हैं? रेडियो वेव्स. Bluetooth के लिए कौन सी radiations यूज होती हैं? रेडियो वेव्स. ऑप्टिकल फाइबर्स में कौन सी radiations यूज होती हैं? इंफ्रा रेड. परफेक्ट. सिक्योरिटी मार्किंग में कौन सी radiations यूज होती हैं बेटा? अल्ट्रा वायलेट. स्टेरिलाइजिंग फूड में कौन सी रेडिएशन यूज होती है? गामा रेज. वायरलेस इंटरनेट में कौन सी रेडिएशन यूज होती हैं? माइक्रो वेव्स. सिंपल. लेट्स फर्दर मूव अहेड. State the approximate speed of radio waves in air. Always remember radio waves is an electromagnetic wave. That's why the speed of radio waves in air is 3 into 10 raised to the power of 8 meters per second. Figure 5.1 shows successive crest of a wave after a plane wave has passed through a barrier. ठीक है ये successive crest है. On figure 5.1 draw three successive crests before the wave reaches the gap. अच्छा जी हमने before diffraction crest बनाने. So what will you do? You will draw a straight crest like this. Okay, let me extend them as well. अच्छा यहाँ पे you have to take care of one thing. One second, let me place it here. हाँ यहाँ पे oh ho what has happened? No, this is too. One second, what have I done here? Oh, my bad. Let me undo this. Okay. इसको इसे हटा देते हैं हम. Yeah. So now you have to draw the crest before diffraction. How will you do that? You will draw straight lines like this. और बेटा आपने एक चीज मेक श्योर करनी है. क्या चीज मेक श्योर करनी है? द वेवलेंथ बिफोर diffraction is equals to the wavelength after diffraction. Sir, what do you mean by that? By that, I simply and humbly mean this. कि ये वाली wavelength before diffraction should be equal to the wavelength after diffraction. Simple, nothing complicated here. आगे बढ़ते हैं. अच्छा जी, I think we should zoom out a bit. Figure 5.1 shows a much wider gap. A plane wave of the same wavelength as in B part 1 is incident on the gap from the left side of the barrier. ठीक है जी. Now what will happen? Diffraction आपकी कम होगी. On figure 5.2, draw three successive crests of the wave after the wave has passed through the gap. तो आपकी diffraction कम होगी. You can draw waves in a less circular manner. Or maybe like this. अच्छा चलो इसको थोड़ा सा क्रिएट करने की कोशिश करते हैं. Let's. हाँ, like this. Your waves will not purely be circular because इतनी ज़्यादा diffraction हुई ही नहीं है. Your waves will not be circular completely because इतनी ज़्यादा diffraction हुई ही नहीं है बेटा. सिर्फ edges आप curve करके दिखा सकते हो. Everything else. 1 second, let me bring this forward. ओहो, हाँ जी. So that at least the wavelength is also similar. And you have to just take care of one thing, that the wavelength remains same throughout. ये वाली जो wavelength है, this should be equal to this wavelength. Wavelength same रहनी चाहिए between two crest. अच्छा जी, यहाँ पे आ जाओ. On figure 6.1 shows a full scale diagram of an object O and its image I produced by a converging lens. The lens and its position on the principal axis are not shown. अच्छा जी, principal axis भी नहीं, principal axis show किया गया. The lens is not shown. Okay. So on figure 6.1, draw a single ray to locate the position of the center of the converging lens. Okay, how will you locate the center of the converging lens? First of all, you will bring a ray from the top of the object to the bottom of the image. इस तरह टॉप ऑफ द ऑब्जेक्ट से आपने बॉटम ऑफ द इमेज तक जो है वो लाइन बना दी. दिस पॉइंट will be what? This point will be the center of the lens. Perfect. You have to represent a line to show the position of the lens. So you can make a line here to show the position of the lens. Somewhat like this. Let me make a straight line. Yeah. Let's label this L. That is the position of the lens. Determine the focal length of the lens by drawing another ray on figure 6.1. Okay, how will you do that? First of all, you will draw a ray that is parallel to the principal axis like this. Perfect. इस तरह से. And this will also get connected towards the image like this. इस तरह से image पे ये connect हो जाएगी बेटा. Like this. I hope I can draw it correctly. अल्लाह करे correctly draw हो जाए. हाँ, somewhat like this. Yep. This is your focal point. This is your optical center. अब आपने क्या करना है? You have to take a ruler and measure the distance from the optical center to the focal point. बेटा आपने ऑप्टिकल सेंटर से फोकल पॉइंट तक का डिस्टेंस मेजर करना है यूजिंग अ रूलर. दैट विल बी योर फोकल लेंथ एफ. ऑप्टिकल सेंटर से लेकर फोकल पॉइंट तक का डिस्टेंस is your focal length f, this thing. Hence जब आप ये स्केल से मेजर करोगे focal length will come out to be 2.1 centimeter. I have already measured that. The object is moved 2 centimeter closer to the lens. Okay. बेटा ऑब्जेक्ट को हमने 2 सेंटीमीटर क्लोजर टू द लेंस मूव कर दिया. Now what will you do? First of all, measure the focal length here. This is your focal point. जब आप इसको 2 सेंटीमीटर इनवर्ड मूव करोगे, your object will be somewhere here. Can you realize now your object is between the optical center and the focal point? जब भी आपका ऑब्जेक्ट बिटवीन द ऑप्टिकल सेंटर एंड द फोकल पॉइंट होता है, व्हाट हैपेंस? यू हैव अ वर्चुअल एंड अपराइट इमेज. बेटा जब भी आपका, देखो वापस सुन लो, अगर आपने ऑब्जेक्ट को 2 सेंटीमीटर क्लोजर मूव किया टू द लेंस, द ऑब्जेक्ट विल कम इन बिटवीन द ऑप्टिकल सेंटर एंड द फोकल पॉइंट. If your object is between the optical center and the focal point, your image will be virtual and upright. Simple. आगे बढ़ते हैं. अच्छा जी, draw the circuit symbol for a potential divider. How will you do that? Like this, like this, like this. And what is the most important part of a potential divider? You have a sliding contact. इस तरह से भाई. ठीक है. Figure 7.1 shows the circuit perfect. Calculate the value V naught when the value of resistance R is 3 kilo ohm. अच्छा जी, जब ये 3 किलो ओम होगा तो you have to calculate R naught. How can you do that? You can apply the voltage divider rule. V naught, that is the voltage across the 1 kilo ohm resistor, will be equal to what? 1 kilo ohm, that is 10 raised to the power of 3, divided by the total resistance, that is 1 plus 3 kilo ohm, that is 4 kilo ohm, multiplied by the total voltage, that is 6. Cancel, cancel. This becomes 3, this becomes 2. Your answer will be 1.5 volts. Simple as that. ठीक है. Clear है बात? All good. 1.5 volts is your voltage output. बेटा अगर ये वाला रूल याद नहीं है तो let me write it again. The voltage across any component R is equal to the resistance of R divided by the total resistance multiplied by the total voltage. This is the voltage divider rule. The value of R is adjusted until the current is this. Calculate the charge which flows in 300 seconds. कैसे निकालेंगे? Current is equals to charge over time. You have to calculate charge. Charge is equals to current into time. Current की value क्या है? 1.7 into 10 is the power of minus 3. Time is 300. Can you calculate the charge? Charge निकाल सकते हो बेटा, क्या आएगा? 0.51 coulomb. Simple as that. Let's further move ahead. Figure 8.1 shows a wire carrying a large current. Perfect. This current is going into the page. Figure 8.2 shows the square card viewed from above. On figure 8.3, draw three magnetic field lines that indicate the direction of the magnetic field and how its strength varies with distance from the wire. First of all, if the current is going into the page, कौन सी field lines बनाओगे बेटा? Clockwise. And do you remember the distance between the field lines keep on increasing? The distance between the field lines keeps on increasing. इस तरह से the distance between the field lines keeps on increasing. अच्छा, इसको मैं थोड़ा सा ऊपर ले जाता हूँ, I guess. हाँ जी, इस तरह से the distance between the field lines keeps on increasing. Simple as that. चलो जी. The current in the wire increases. This will cause the magnetic field to increase. The magnetic field strength increases. And the direction of current is reverse. If the direction of current is reversed, the direction of magnetic field will also reverse. Okay. So state how these changes affect the magnetic field. The magnetic field becomes stronger. The magnetic field becomes stronger. Oh, becomes stronger. And its direction reverses. And its direction reverses. Simple. Let's further move ahead. Electricity is transmitted at high voltages. Explain why a high voltage increases the efficiency of the transmission even with thinner wires. First of all, beta, why is the examiner saying this? Even with thinner wires. थिनर वायर्स का मतलब क्या है? थिनर वायर्स का मतलब क्या है? एनी वन इन द चार्ट? थिनर वायर्स का मतलब ये है दैट योर एरिया इज लेस. इफ योर एरिया इज लेस, व्हाट डज दिस मीन? रेजिस्टेंस इज इनवर्सली प्रोपोर्शनल टू एरिया. अगर आपका एरिया कम है, रेजिस्टेंस बढ़ेगी. सो रेजिस्टेंस बढ़ेगी तो पावर लॉसेस या एफिशिएंसी कम होनी चाहिए. बट अकॉर्डिंग टू द एग्जामिनर, if we are transmitting electricity at high voltages, even with thinner wires, you have a higher efficiency. How is that the case? First of all, you will say at high voltages, the current becomes very low. You will say at high voltages, the current becomes very low. So let's write it down. At high, okay, let's zoom in a bit as well so that you can guys see clearly. At high voltages, the current is very low, very low. Now, what will be your second point? हाँ जी, second point क्या कहोगे? The wires, the thin wires have a larger resistance. Since power loss is equals to current का square into resistance, the factor, since power loss is equals to since power loss is equals to I square R, the lower current has a greater effect compared to the higher resistance. Hence power loss decreases. Hence power loss decreases. Simple. आगे बढ़ते हैं बेटा, क्या लिखा हुआ है नेक्स्ट सवाल में? An experiment directs alpha particles at a thin sheet of gold foil. Most of the alpha particles pass through the thin foil in a straight line. State the conclusion about the atoms from this observation. Atoms have large empty spaces. Most of the atoms have large empty spaces. Most of the atoms have large empty spaces. Perfect. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. आगे बढ़ते हैं. Some of the alpha particles are deflected through angles less than 90 degree and few are deflected through 180 degrees. State and explain two conclusions about the nuclei of the atom from this observation. बेटा क्या आप देख रहे हो some and few particles? इसका मतलब क्या है? Nucleus is very small. Nuclei is very small. Why? Because only a few particles were deflected. Were deflected. अच्छा जी. सेकंड कंक्लूजन क्या कह सकते हो? न्यूक्लियाई इज पॉजिटिवली चार्ज. सर हाउ डू यू इवन नो दैट न्यूक्लियर इज पॉजिटिवली चार्ज? सर हाउ डू यू इवन नो दैट? हाँ जी. हाउ डू वी इवन नो कि न्यूक्लियर इज पॉजिटिवली चार्ज? एनी जीनियसेस? Because the alpha particles are getting repelled. Alpha particles are positively charged, hence the nucleus must also be positively charged. तो इसको आप लिख लो. You can say alpha particles are getting repelled and they are positively charged. Hence, nuclei is also positively charged. Hence, nuclei is also positively charged. Perfect. Let's further see. A source contains, actually, a source contains a radioactive isotope of strontium. The isotope decay by emission of beta particles. The half-life of strontium is 29 years. State the change in the nucleus which occurs when a beta particle is emitted. What happens when a beta particle is emitted? A neutron turns into a proton, turns into a proton. Perfect. The initial mass of the strontium in this source is 25 microgram. Calculate the mass of the strontium that decays in 87 years. बेटा हाफ लाइफ क्या है 29 years. Perfect. इनिशियल मास था आपका 25 माइक्रोग्राम, है ना? इनिशियल मास आपका क्या था? 25 माइक्रोग्राम्स. परफेक्ट. तो आफ्टर वन हाफ लाइफ व्हाट विल हैपन? दिस विल बिकम 12.5 माइक्रोग्राम्स. आफ्टर वन हाफ लाइफ हाउ मेनी ईयर्स हैव पास? 29 ईयर्स. ओके, आगे आ जाओ फर्दर. उसके बाद एक और हाफ लाइफ हो जाएगी 6.25 माइक्रोग्राम्स. दैट इज फर्दर 29 ईयर्स. उसके बाद एक और हाफ लाइफ हो जाएगी. दैट इज व्हाट? 3.125 माइक्रोग्राम्स. दैट इज फर्दर 29 ईयर्स. कैन यू रियलाइज दिस वाज योर इनिशियल मास? दिस इज योर फाइनल मास. Can you calculate the mass of a strontium that decays in 87 years? Change in mass निकाल सकते हो. 25 minus 3, that is 22 micrograms is your answer. Simple as that. आगे बढ़ते हैं. अच्छा जी, फिगर, अच्छा इसको थोड़ा सा जूम आउट कर लेते हैं. Figure 10.1 represents different position A to H of the moon as it rotates around the earth. Perfect. So these are different positions of the moon as it rotates around the earth. State a position of the moon where an observer on earth sees this. अच्छा जी, observer on earth कब इस तरह का moon देखता है? Yes, it can be either at position A, that is the top position यहाँ पे, या at position E. तो दोनों लिख देते हैं just to be over efficient. The observer sees a full moon. Full moon कब दिखेगा? When you are exactly opposite to the sun. G is your answer. Calculate, yeah, state the approximate time taken for the moon to orbit the earth. 28 days. Perfect. The average distance of the earth from the sun is this. This is your r. You have to calculate the orbital speed in kilometer per hour. How will you do that? Orbital speed is equals to 2 pi r divided by t. बेटा r आपको पता है? Yes, that is 1.510 is the power of 8 किलोमीटर. We will keep it in kilometer because हमने आंसर किलोमीटर में देना है. Now बेटा, do you understand that अर्थ जो है वो सन के अराउंड रोटेट करता है in 365 days. How many hours do we have in 365 days? 365 multiplied by 24 hours in one day. Can you calculate the average orbital speed? हाँ जी, एवरेज ऑर्बिटल स्पीड निकाल लोगे. 11000 kilometer per hour. Simple. You can also put it in a standard form if you want to. The speed of light in a vacuum is this. Calculate the time taken for the light from sun to reach to earth. कौन सा फॉर्मूला लगाएंगे? टाइम इज इक्वल टू डिस्टेंस ओवर स्पीड. डिस्टेंस अभी ऊपर गिवन था ना, आई गेस. यस, 1.510 is the power of 8, but this is in kilometers. 10 is the power of 8. This is in kilometers, so multiply by 10 is the power of 3. The speed क्या है? 3 into 10 is the power of 8. Can you calculate the time? हाँ जी, टाइम निकाल सकते हो. 500 seconds comes out to be your time. Simple. State the condition required for a protostar to become a stable star. The inward force of gravitation is balanced by the outward force due to the fission reaction. Oh, sorry, fusion reactions. So you can say the inward gravitational force gravitational force is balanced by the outward force due to fusion reaction. Simple. Defines the Hubble's constant, very, very easy. Ratio of the speed of recession of the galaxy, ratio of the speed at which the galaxy is moving away, ratio of the speed at which the galaxy is moving away divided by the distance between the observer and the galaxy. Observer and the galaxy. Simple. Perfect. The current estimate for the Hubble's constant is this. State the equation which gives the age of the universe. हमेशा याद रखो age of the universe is inverse of the Hubble's constant. Calculate an estimate of the age of the universe. 1 divided by 2.2, 10 raised to the power of minus 18. What does your age of universe comes out to be? Can anyone in the chat tell me the answer? The age of universe comes out to be 4.5. 10 raised to the power of 17 seconds. Easy peasy. This marks the end of the question. If end of the paper, if you have any questions, you can ask right away.